with just 2 days from Sword of Convallaria being released, I put out quite a bit, a couple of guides and videos, and I decided to go ahead and put this video out because uh, one of my one of my subscribers asked a question and said that, hey, are you going to put out a reroll guide, or you should put out a reroll guide. So I decided to go ahead and put one out. So this is where we go. So this is where we are. So today we're going to be doing a reroll guide. Let me set some parameters for you. If you are a person who wants the most efficient play, if you are a person who wants to play with the optimum way of playing this game, this guide is for you. If you're a person who just likes going rerolls and you don't know which characters that you should be going for, this guide is for you. If you're a person who doesn't do rerolling but just wants to know some information about some very good top characters and why they're so good, this guide is for you. We're going to discuss and explain the reasoning behind actually doing rerolling. Some of the pros and cons to rerolling is that you get to start the game with with really good units, very good teams, so that you can go ahead and progress through the content. So that's like one of the biggest pros. You get the characters that you're wanting to get, some of the best characters that are in the game currently when it launches. You'll get to be able to have them by constantly re-rolling until you finally pull them on those banners. Not on the banners, but pull them from doing your pulls. Since this game is giving us a limited a unit select ticket, but you have to purchase it with real money. You get like 40 pulls, and we get a lot of free gems, and it's just how generous this game is. You will be set up for doing quite a bit of pulls. You will be put up again quite a bit of gems. So it is very beneficial for you to pull and get these characters for the benefits that they're going to provide you when the game comes out. Now, the cons for re-rolling is that re-rolling can take quite a bit of time. And also RNG. Those are the two biggest things. Since we don't know exactly how the re-rolling is going to be done in the global, we don't know if we get guest accounts, we don't know how that's going to work, you very well might end up having to do this over and over again, and the process can be lengthy. Re-rolling could take possibly anywhere between 20 to 45 minutes, depending on if you're looking how fast you're doing it. So with that being said, re-rolling has its benefits. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go over the units that I think you should go ahead and get if you decide that you're going to re-roll, if you want to play that optimum way when the game comes out, if you want to play the most efficient way when the game comes out. These are the units that I feel like you should definitely try to go for based off of what you're looking for. All right. So with that being said, let me switch over here. We're going to be using this website. It's called Loot and Waifus. This is from another streamer's. This was done by another streamer, another content creator. Goes by the name of Sefhi. I've seen a couple of his videos, and I saw that he had this website here. And I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm gonna keep it a straight buck with you guys. This website is fantastic. The amount of hard work this man has put in, and I highly recommend that you guys use this as a resource, because I'm telling you, it's very good, it's very well done, and it's not even fully complete yet. He's still working. He's doing this all by himself. And in all honesty, I just want to say I respect this dude. If you want to support him, again, I'm gonna put the link down there below. There's a little tab right there that says support me. He has a Discord. But this content creator, he put in so much hard work, and I will be more likely using this website from here on out just by how good that this website is. So I definitely want to recommend that you guys go ahead and use this resource. Because the man is doing it. The man is just fantastic, and I like his content, and I like the work that he put in. So I'm just giving him a shout out from one CC to another CC. All right. So with that being said, we're going to click on the Sword of Convallaria right here, And this is where it kind of like shows you right here. So right here he has like where all the events where no events have popped up yet, but this is where events are going to go. And he has a nice little featured content, tier list and stuff like that. But we're not going to look at that. We're going to look at the characters. And he has all the characters separated in a nice color-coded format, where the blue is for the Seekers, the red are for the Berserkers, the green is for the Defenders, the purples for Destroyers, and the yellows for the Watchers. Again, the guy puts in the work. And this is going to be why the first thing and the first character that we're going to talk about, and the first character that I wanted you guys to see, where I think that if you want to go ahead and you want to re-roll, a character that you would want to go for is Dantalion. Dantalion is a destroyer character who has hybrid damage. He has hybrid damage in his kit. So if you look at his rank 0, which is his init skill right here, it's a support skill, a single target attack that deals 130% of physical attack value and magic damage. Before attacking, 2 random attribute buffs are changed to level 1 attribute debuffs. And those level 1 attribute debuffs could be anything from attack down, critical down, physical defense down, magic defense down, healing down. This is this is kind of like one of his really good skills, where he does the hybrid damage, where you don't want to give him anything. You don't want to give him magic attack abilities, not magic abilities. You don't want to give him magic attack gear. You want to give him as much physical attack as possible, because his skills will convert those into magic damage. And some of the skills do both physical and magic damage, but he does hybrid damage. So he does it right here. He does it with this skill right here, which is the draw the sword, which before active melee attack cause 40% of physical attack as magic damage when the target has a shield. Before attacking, apply vulnerability 2 for 2 rounds. He also has a skill with his rank 3 skill right here, which is breakdown, which is again mixed damage, which is that hybrid damage. And he also has a skill with his final rank 11 skill, which is endless dawn light, which does massive, it's a 3-hit hybrid damage attack, which does hits 3 rolls. Really powerful, really strong skill. What also makes Dantalion a very strong unit is the fact that he applies a lot of debuffs. Looking at his rank 0 skill, Morning Light, it does the level 1 attribute debuffs. So if the person has attribute buffs, it turns those into attribute debuffs. So that's really good for turning the tables when you're hitting somebody. His rank 1 skill, if the person has a shield, they get vulnerability 2, which increases the damage they take by 20%, which is really nice to 1 unit. And then also his rank 3 skill right here, which gives a heal, no heal, so that the person can't be healed when you're attacking them, which is a very powerful skilled move, so that prevents the healers from trying to save key targeted characters. And especially for 2 rounds, if you hit it like a defender with that, you can just blow up the defenders, because remember, he's doing hybrid damage, which means most defenders are not going to have magic defense. Another good reason why he's really good is because despite the fact that he is a damage dealing character, he has some pretty good sustain in his rank 5, which is you can do either the reaction when attacked by melee, damage is reduced by 30%, or you can do this skill right here, which I really wouldn't recommend personally. When attacked by a Watcher character, damage received is reduced to 25%. I feel like this is just not good at all. It only stops reduces Watcher damage, even though Watcher damage does do more damage to destroyers. This only targets Watcher damage, whereas this one right here is when he's attacked by any melee attack, damage is reduced by 30%. I personally would go with this one. This is the one I'm going to go with if I got him. But the most important skill that this guy has, Dantalion has, is this leader aura. This leadership skill, the leader aura right here. For all allies whose camp is area, their attack is increased by 10%, their defense by 20%, and when they attack enemies with 3 or more debuffs, their damage is increased by 20%. This is a phenomenal skill to use with characters like the Hangman. They're all from the Camp of Area. There's a couple other legendary characters like Nurgle and his sister Nungle. They're from Area. And just by having these units in your team, they're all going to get this buff because of his leader aura. Leader auras are very important in this game. They are something for when you want to build teams. You definitely want, if you're going to go for him, by just grabbing him and getting the Hangman characters, and they're all 4 stars and 3 stars, they will all produce and work together, and you'll be able to do some pretty good damage, especially because the Hangman characters, their whole gimmick is applying debuffs on other units, and they get bonuses and bonus skills and buffs when they have debuffs. 3 or more debuffs, and then if they have Hangman on them, they all do different things. But just if you get him, you definitely gonna want to get the Hangman, or you want to get the legendary unit Nungle as well. If you want to focus on that, and that's what makes Dantalion a very good, a very strong, and a very powerful character, because he does damage, he does debuffs, he has a little bit of sustain, pretty significant sustain. 30% is pretty damn good, and also this leader aura. Okay, moving on, the next character that if you want to reroll and you want to go for a character, I'm going to recommend Magnus. Magnus is a phenomenal unit. He's a defender unit, so he's all about the physical defense, and he has the ability to apply his defense percentages onto the damage of his skills. And he can do that using his passive skill right here, which all enemies within 3 squares of the player's range have their attack and defense attributes reduced by 8%. When attacking, 20% of the physical defense value is added to the physical attack value. So the higher his physical defense is, the more powerful his damage is going to be. And also those enemies are going to have their defense attributes reduced by 8%. So he's going to be doing a significant amount of damage when he's on the field. One of the few who actually does a lot of damage when it comes to defenders. He's kind of one of those naysayers, even though he's a defender, he's still going to do some pretty good damage. Another thing that he's going to have that's going to allow him to do damage is his rank 1, which is a support skill. When you do it, it's an instant. It adds 40% of the player's physical defense value to their physical attack value, and increases damage received by 8%, and it lasts for 2 rounds. That's a very good skill. That's a very powerful skill. And what instant means is that after using this skill, the character can continue to move and inherit the remaining movement power. So if your character hasn't moved and you just use that support skill, he can still continue and move the duration and move into the enemies and get closer to them. It won't be a problem. Very powerful skill that I do think I recommend if you want him to do a little bit more damage. He also applies debuffs and buffs with his rank 3 skill, which is going to be the Victory Cry. It's a passive. When the enemies within 2 squares of him is defeated, it applies attack 2 to all enemies within 5 squares of himself. To all the enemies of him within 5 squares around him. It also causes friendly forces to gain damage 2, and this lasts for 2 rounds. Before using Mountain Collapse, the effect is triggered immediately and can only take effect once per round. Okay, so that's very important to know that, before you use that Mountain Collapse skill, which is let me see if I can find it. Where is it at? I don't remember where Mountain Collapse is, but neither here or saying. Before using the Mountain Collapse, so whenever he kills somebody It's going to do a 20% physical and magical attacks reduced, and it's going to do a buff increasing damage dealt by 20% to all your allies and then to the enemies, which is a really nice skill to do. And then moving along, he also has a counterattack mechanic, which is the Bloodthirsty Great Axe. That's going to be his rank 5 skill, and that says that when attacked from in front or the side, if the opponent is within attack range, he uses a normal attack to counterattack. And this is going to play a big role later on down the line, but this can only be effective one round, so he can only do the counterattack one time. Now he also has this one right here, is when attacked actively, damage received is reduced by 8%. After being attacked, you gain damage reduction 2%. Now, if you don't want him to be a damage dealing DPS, you're going to want to go with this one and just make him more of a tanky unit where he can absorb a lot of damage. The next up is that he does have some pretty decent sustain. So again, if you want to make him tanky, you can go ahead and go with this rank 1 skill. When defeated, immediately recovers 5% of health. This can be activated once per battle. So that means that if he does end up dying, he will have an auto revive that'll come back with 5% of his health, which then allows your healers to go ahead and heal him. And then he also has a skill on his rank 9 skill, which is a life drain. So he does a normal attack, 100% physical damage, and generates 20% as life drain. These are both used for just good, decent sustain if you want him to become more of a tanky tank built character. Now, another skill that he has, and he has a high damaging skill, it comes into the, where's it at? It should be this one right here. So when his rank 11, it's a passive that when attacking actively, damage increases by 10%, and then when he counterattacks somebody, it increases by 30%. So this works in conjunction with the rank 5 skill, so that when he does the counterattack, he does even more damage with that counterattack. Now you could also go with the Iron Chariot skill, which is a single attack which does 300% of the enemy's physical defense as physical damage, not exceeding 200% of the enemy's physical attack value. And then before attacking, 20% of the enemy's physical attack value is added to the physical defense value, lasting for 2 rounds. This is a very powerful, very hard-hitting skill, and that uses the enemy's defense against them. But again, it can't exceed over 200% of the enemy's physical attack value, but it's a very powerful skill. Me personally, if I got him, I would probably go with the Magnus, this one right here, for the skill blade, just for that damage increases. I think that, whenever he's being hit, I think that's a pretty good, decent skill. But I want to talk about this one right here. Big Power Swing. So Big Power Swing turns your normal attack. It makes your normal attack cause 70% area damage to all enemies in a 3x2 area in that direction. So what's really nice about this is that it alters and changes your basic attack, which is this right here. Now, since you have reaction level 5, whenever you get hit, you get that one counterattack. Your counterattack is going to turn into this skill right here, which is going to give you some AoE damage so that you'll be able, and it'll do significant amount of damage. It causes 70% of whatever the damage is. Well, not what the damage is. It does 70% area damage instead of what this was normally doing, 100% physical damage. It does 70% area damage instead, which I think is a very good ability. But again, the best skill that's on this character is going to be his rank 7. He has a leader aura. For all teams on the field that are in the mobility camp, their attack is increased by 10%. Their defense is increased by 20%. And when in healthy state, the damage they receive is reduced by 10%. And they are not negatively affected by the injured state. This is such a phenomenal leader aura, because any character that has mobility in their camp, and you'll be able to look at those when you're looking at the characters, their character page, it tells you what camp that they're in. Anyone that has mobility gets his buff. And what the healthy status is that the status when the health value is greater than or equals 70%. So as long as they have over 70% health, it's their defense is what's I'm sorry. Well, as long as they have over 70% health, they get this the damage received 10%, and they're not negatively affected by the injured state, which is really cool. So the injured state is when the health is less than 70%, the damage is reduced by 20%, and the damage received is increased by 20%. So if you're not aware, depending on how high or how low your health is, it'll put you in these little states. Well, what he says is that if you're in an injured state, you no longer have to worry about having the damage reduced by 20, your damage reduced by 20%, and the damage received by 20%. Because if you have mobility, you're no longer affected by the negative effects of the injured state. Magnus is a phenomenal unit, and if you get him, you're definitely going to want to get characters that have that mobility camp. You definitely want to get those characters that have that mobility tag, so that it can make your progress and everything go by significantly faster and better. Moving along, the next one, and you should have known that she was going to be on this list, is Gloria. If you haven't seen or you don't know anything about Gloria, Gloria is such a powerful, significantly strong unit. Gloria's whole thing is about just helping the party out and dishing out some really great buffs and crowd controlling with knockbacks and applying debuffs while still having sustain and still having a high damage. So she's a really big buff machine. One thing is with her passive, which increases her attack by 5%, and then when losing the raise the flag aura, she gains potential stimulation for 2 rounds. And when the battle actually starts, she automatically uses the raise the flag and gains raise the flag aura. So what potential stimulation is a buff that attack increases by 20%, defense increases by 40%, and you gain attribute debuff, which is you can't get an attribute debuff, so she won't be debuffed, which is chef kiss for 2 rounds. It's a really good thing, and she gets that for 2 rounds. And then the raised flag is a support, and it's an instant skill. So what the instant skills mean is that you're able to use those skills and continue with your movement. All friendly troops within 3 grids of the caster gain movement 1, speed 2 for 2 rounds, and the caster gains the raise the flag aura. And then what the raise the flag aura is that the aura increases the attack and defense attributes of other friendly forces within 3 grids of herself by 12%. So and also it can't be dispelled and can't be immune. So you can't be immune. She's always going to give that no matter what. That can't be dispelled at all. So what this means is that you're getting the move 1 buff and you're getting the speed 2 buff for 2 rounds, but you're always going to have this 12%. You're always going to have this attack and defense attributes increased by 12% as long as you're within 3 grids of Gloria, which is just a fantastic skill to have. That's really good to use when you're having this. Now, another thing that she has is a buff in her rank 11, which is this one right here, Knight's Glory. It's a support skill that's an instant, and it grants the target attack 2 for 2 turns. So single target, it grants them attack 2 for 2 turns, and when the target is in the Knights Alliance group, it grants them additional physical skill equal to 20% of their health. So again, what that means is that if they're in the Knights Alliance camp, if you see them, those units that have the Knights Alliance in them, like the Ballista is one of them, I can't think of the other ones off the top of my head, they're going to get a physical shield equal to 20% of their HP. Which is really nice. It's a really nice thing to have. And that attack 2 buff increases physical and magical attacks by 20%, and that physical shield is going to give additional resistance to physical damage, and it's going to go up to 20% of the health. So really good, strong buffs. She also has a knockback with her init skill. So you just start off with this knockback skill, which is really good for shoving people off the map or shoving them back into exploding barrels, things like that, which is a really nice. It goes up to 3 grids, It goes up to 3 grids when it goes and hits a target. And that one also was that if you do not have the raise the flag aura, the skill changes to the sword skill. So what that means is that she kind of has 2 modes. She has a mode where she can throw the flag down and it causes buffs for everybody, and then all of her skills change into different skills. So with the raise the flag, this is what this does. But if you don't have raise the flag, it turns into wind sword skill. Physical damage selects one enemy with the cross range, and it causes 120% damage before attacking. The damage increases by 10% for each square moved up to 50%. Very powerful skill. The only time you have to ever worry about the raise the flag not being on is if you're making her more of a DPS, which you can do. You can make her a high damaging watcher unit that does a lot of damage. And that's only when you get rid of the raise the flag skill. And that's what this comes in along. This skill right here, it deals 80% range damage to all enemies within 2 squares of the target, and it summons a flag. So this one right here, you throw it, the flag lands right here in the middle. It does up to 2 squares all around. It does damage, but Gloria loses the raise the flag aura, and then the next time you cast a skill, you get the raise the flag. You get to cast a raise the flag skill. So the reason why you would want to do this is if you're going to run a DPS version of Gloria, and by running that DPS of Gloria, she does a lot of high damage. You can look at the skill, this one right here. Right here, the Holy Spear skill, Glory. When you don't have the raise the flag on it, it turns into Full Moon Slash, and it deals 90% damage to all units within 2 squares of the player. And when the target is in the injured state, and remember, injured state is 70% and lower HP, the damage dealt is increased by an additional 30%. So she does more damage when a person has lower health, or when the target has lower health. And after using the skill, the player gains damage reduction 2, which damage reduction 2, I do believe, is you get 20% damage reduction. So after you use the skill, it makes her tankier. It makes her have a lot more sustain. But of course, one of the reasons, like, if you're not going to run that DPS build on her, then this skill turns into all allies within 3 squares of the player gains attack 1, damage reduction 2 for 2 turns, and restores 1 energy. Energy is when you're going to be using in order to cast your abilities. If you have abilities that cost energy, that's what this is going to give. It gives you 1 energy. And if the player, if the player does not have raise the flag, it turns into Full Moon Slash. Another really good thing about her is that she does do debuffs. So if you look at her skill 1, she has a debuff skill, which is an aura. So it reduces the attack of all enemies within 2 squares by 10%, which is a pretty decent skill if you go in that route. But you could also go with this one, right? This passive, when attacking an enemy frontally. Attack increases by 20%. When attacked, defense increases by 40%. So when she attacks, she deals an additional 20%, but when she's being attacked, she gets 40% defense. Really good, but again, I would only use this when you're going DPS Gloria. Personally, I would end up running the aura because I want her to be that stat buff and stat debuff machine. And then she also gets a debuff right here on her rank 9 skill, which is a normal attack that deals 100% physical damage to enemies in the injured state. And before attacking, you apply active skill, the no active skill, and that's a debuff, and you cannot use active skills other than normal attack. This is a complete lockdown, shutdown on the target's abilities so that they can only do regular attacks. Pretty powerful, pretty strong ability. She also has a sustain in her rank 5, which is this one right here, where when attacked from a front, so when she's attacked from whatever is facing her, damage is reduced by 30%. And then she also has this one right here, where when attacked actively, she counterattacks the opponent if they're within range using 70% damage, which can be effective only once per turn. Again, for me personally, even if you're running an attack build on her, this one is pretty decent, but I would probably still run this one right here, only because, you know, whenever she gets hit in the face, that 30% reduction is good, and I would definitely use that personally. But again, this one is not bad itself, especially if you're running that attack build on her. Finally, we're going to go ahead and talk about another character with another leader aura. So if you haven't noticed the theme here, the reason why I picked these 3 characters is they all have leader auras, and they're all really good leader auras. Hers is all players on the field with Knight Alliance will have their attack increased by 10% and their defense increased by 20%. When actively attacking, damage will be increased by 12%, and when counterattacked, damage received will be reduced by 24%. So this is a really nice aura. As you can see, all the auras have, you know, you get that increase by 10 and that defense by 20. But then this one right here, that second part, is that when you're actively attacking somebody, the damage will be increased by another 12%. And if that person counterattacks you and hits your character, it gets a 24% reduction. Really nice aura, especially if you're running characters from the Knight Alliance. Like I said, Ballista is one of them. I really can't remember all the other ones for like the 4 stars. I used to run one of them, a Berserker character. Well, it's not Berserker, I mean Breaker. A Breaker character. I know I said Berserker earlier, but a Breaker character. But anyone that has Knight Alliance, this aura is going to affect them. So if you're going to get Gloria, running a Knights team is going to be beneficial for you because they're going to get those buffs and it's going to make them that much better. Overall, Gloria is kind of a jack of all trades. She has really strong buffs and auras. She has a lot of auras. She has really strong debuffs. She has really strong crowd control with the knockbacks, and she has a really strong aura. Really nice, and she still does high damage. Really good high damage based off of her kit. So definitely someone that you're going to want to look into if you want to re-roll your characters. Now the final character we're going to talk about is Inanna. Inanna is so busted. Okay. She's so good. Like her kit is so fully loaded. It's ridiculous how powerful this character is. And if you do manage to get her, you're going to have a really good, strong unit. Hands down. She is good with everybody. She's good with any team. If you go and get Dantalion, and if you manage to re-roll and get Dantalion, I would highly suggest that if you're going to get the unit selector ticket, I highly suggest you just go ahead and use her, because for starters, she's part of the area camp. So area, whatever. She's part of the area camp. So she's going to get Dantalion's leadership abilities on her, and that's going to be 2 really strong characters to have. Let's just go down the list of things that she has. Her passive is at the start of the battle, she summons a Princess Guard. At the end of the action, heal the lowest HP of the ally within 3 grids of the range. The healing amount is 20% of the magic attack value, and obtain a random level 1 buff, which lasts for 2 turns. This random buff can be attack 1, crit 1, physical defense 1, magic 1, healing 1. And that guard is an actual summon that she has that fights for you and does some pretty good damage. Now, normally I would say, like, well, not normally, let me just say this. If you get her, you're going to want to farm, and you're going to want to farm and get her rank up. Because I didn't do this with the other people, but I'm going to do this with her specifically. Because if you manage to get her 5 stars, at the start of the battle, you still summon the Princess Guard, and at the end of the action, you heal the 2 lowest health friendly players within 4 squares of range, with the healing amount of 25% of the magic attack value that she has. And they obtain a level 2 buff, which lasts for 2 rounds. Also, the Princess Guard's attack and defense attributes are increased by 15%, and the skill Princess Guard can be used an additional 2 times per battle. This is incredibly just off of her passive. It is a fully loaded passive, and not only that, the level 2 buffs goes with attack, crit, physical defense, magic defense, movement, healing too, and you get the no attribute debuff where your attributes can't be debuffed. It's really good. If you manage to get her, I would highly suggest that you farm that I want to say dungeon, but it's not dungeon. You want to farm that thing that I can't think of right now because it's 1 o'clock a.m. and you get her up high stars. You make her a priority. She's very strong. And again, that's just within her, just her passive. Next thing she has is she starts off with a really good heal, which is 100% of her magic attack value, and it dispels 1 debuff. Anything that removes debuffs is a win-win. It's a really good, and she gets that off the break, off the start. The next thing that she has is a really good skill where with her rank 1, where this right here is a really fantastic skill. It's a support skill that makes an allied unit that has already acted act again. So a unit has already been used, and if they've already been used, and if they've already taken their turn, she makes them go again. And then when she does, sorry, petting my dog. And when she does, they also get attack 2 and magic defense 2 for 2 turns. And if you're using this skill on your Princess Guard, she also gains additional healing as performed, with the healing amount equal to 60% of the magic attack value. So it allows you to keep your Princess Guard healthy and alive, and they still get all these bonuses and benefits, and it's just really good, a fantastically great skill above all. Also, you could you could go with her other skill right here if you wanted to. Personally, I won't, but this one right here gets a buff, a physical defense 2 to all allies within the range, and makes them immune to defense attribute debuffs, which is really nice. Come on. Yeah, sorry, dog. So yeah, this is an okay skill. I personally won't choose that one. I would definitely be choosing the Princess Prayer. So much better. But we're not done yet, because we also have this skill right here, which is called Guard. It's a passive instant skill, and if you remember, instant skills are skills that once you use them, you still get to do your movement phase. It teleports your Princess Guard to the front and grants potential stimulation for 2 rounds to the Princess Guard. When the Princess Guard is defeated, the skill changes to Princess Personal Guard. So potential stimulation buff again is attack increased by 20%, defense increased by 40%, and they gain the ability of they can't be attribute debuff. And then the Princess Personal Guard skill summons a Princess Personal Guard, which again is a unit that allows you to be able to help you out and fight battles. So that extra unit on the battlefield just becomes really good. Now following that, she has a skill right here, which is really nice, which is it reduces the damage taken by 8%. So it reduces her damage that she takes by 8%, and then for every character that is defeated within 5 grids of the enemy, her magic attack increases by 6% up to 30%. So this one right here is basically saying that whenever you get a character that's within 5 grids, one of your guys, and they get killed or they die, she gets more magic attacks, so she becomes stronger. It's an okay skill for a reaction, it's not bad. But then you also have this skill right here. When attacked by a single active target, damage received is reduced by 30%. This effect can be applied only once per round. So whenever she gets hit, the first attack per round that she gets hit with is going to be reduced by 30%, which is not bad. With these two, I'm not really too sure, because I feel like if you get this one and you're expecting your characters to die, you probably shouldn't be in that situation to begin with. This one right here to me feels so much better. It feels a lot better, just over the fact that because that first initial hit, 30%, she gets that sustain and that survivability, which is really nice. Now, we also get this next one on her rank 7, which this is a really powerful ability. It basically ramps up the attack and defense. It's a support skill that grants assist attack and assisted defense to all allies within 3 squares of her for 3 turns. When the target is in the area camp, so this means Dantalion, this means the Hangman, this means Nurgle and Nungle, any of them, the assist attack and assisted defense will add 1 to the calculation of the number of friendly forces. So what these buffs do is that for every other friendly unit within 2 squares of the player's range, the attack increases by 5% up to a maximum of 15%. So if there's one character, so let's say you use this and it only affects your Nurgle, so it's not going to count as one person, it's going to count as 2 people. So instead of 5%, you're guaranteed 10% with just one person. And then with the assisted defense, you're guaranteed 20% with just one person. But you generally want to have them if you're going to use this skill, you want to make sure that you have all of your characters from the area or just whatever units you have. You're going to want them to be around so that they can all get that assisted attack buff for 3 turns, which is really nice. But this is also, again, a skill that only works on one person. This is a single target skill. So that single person needs to be within that range of that target of your allies. So just keep that noted. It's not for everybody, it's just for one person. And then you have her other skill, which is just a magic attack skill. Deals 70% area damage to all enemies within 2 squares of the target and dispels 2 buffs. It's okay that because it dispels 2 buffs, but my honest opinion, Be With You is just significantly better. And having, again, if you're in a situation where she has to do magic damage and be up close to somebody like that close, you're doing it wrong. You're not okay. But she's not done yet, because she has powerful debuffs. So this right here makes it so that her normal attack deals 80% magic damage and applies physical defense 1 and magic defense 1 to the targets for 2 turns, which means that they're dishing out 20% reduced magic defense and physical defense just off of her physical attack, which is really good. It's really, really good. The next one is that this one right here turns your normal attack. It does still the 80% magic and increases the next healing that you do by 15% for 2 rounds. This one right here is not bad either. It really just comes down to if you want to do a normal attack that does some type of shredding so that your other characters can deal damage, or if you want this to get that 15% heal. Personally, I would go with this one right here, Armor Break. And the reason why I would go with Armor Break is because the area camp units like the Hangman, Dantalion, they all do more damage and have other skills with the more debuffs a person has. So if those people have debuffs on them, they have extra effects and extra abilities that allows them to do more damage. So I personally would go with this one, especially if I'm going to be building an area unit team, which is phenomenal in my opinion. And finally, we have these last 2 skills. This one right here is an aura for her rank 11. Her aura increases the magic defense of other friendly forces within 2 squares of itself by 30%, which is okay. But we're going to be honest here. We're going to go with the Escape Princess skill because this skill is dumb busted. She sacrifices 90% of her current HP. She dispels all debuffs on herself. She then gains invisibility and she gains healing 5 and expands the skill range of personality by 2 times. The heal all, and she also heals all friendly units within the range. All effects last for 2 rounds. This is such a phenomenal skill. The personality skills, each character's personality effect is different. For details, please click on the personality column. I wasn't able to find what the personality skills were or how the personality thing works. When the game launches, I'm going to look into it. But even if this wasn't there, the fact that she gets healing 5, which increases her heal for 50% for two rounds, is crazy. And she gets invisibility after doing this, so she can't be targeted by enemies for two rounds. So she's really good. Her kit is fully loaded. She has a lot of just added value, and she's really good. Like, hands down, if you're going to re-roll for anybody, my honest opinion, I would say go with her, because she doesn't just work with area teams, she works with every team. She works with everybody. She's very good, she's very strong. And if you're going to re-roll, you can get her, or you can always roll for another character and then get the unit selector, and then just get her with the unit selector. I'm probably going to do the same thing. I don't know. I have another video that's coming out with basically what I'm going to do with the when the game launches. So, you know, be on the lookout for that sometime soon before the game comes out. But above all, she's a fantastic character. She's a fantastic unit. Fully loaded, probably just above all, probably my favorite character above all of everybody. So you're going to notice that the only really DPS character that I told you guys about was Dantalion. Even though, granted, Gloria does a lot of damage as well, but the reason why I picked those 4 was mainly because whenever you're playing games like this, you always want to have strong supports. Strong support characters will last you significantly longer in the long run, as opposed to going for DPS characters. DPS characters come a dime a dozen. They're always going to be the most pushed out characters, but getting characters that do supporting, rather healing, utility, defense for like strong tanks, anyone that does like debuffs or anything like that, those characters are going to be a lot better in the long run as opposed to going for DPS. But there are some strong DPS that are going to be coming out for the game that are strong runner-ups. You got characters with like Beryl, Cole, and Nona. Those are the 3 strongest DPS that are going to be coming out with the game when the game launches. If you get any one of those 3, you can't go wrong. They all provide their own benefits, pros and cons. With like Nona and Cole being the seeker class and Beryl being a destruction class. You really can't get wrong with them. But just remember, if you're going to chase after characters, and this is what I normally do, is that if I'm chasing after units or characters, I want to make sure I have all of my foundation characters first. So I want to make sure I have my good healers, my good tanks, and my good support units, because DPS really do come a dime a dozen. If you have one really strong DPS and you don't have good sustained characters, there's no point. There's no point at all, because that DPS is going to get blown away. And this is not a game that you can play where you can just steamroll content and just have it so that you're only going to be using just DPS characters. That'll work in the beginning of the game, but that's not going to work at the end of the game. And if you saw my last video, like I told you guys, I personally believe that you need to learn how to build teams in the beginning of the game. It's not necessary to have a tank and a healer, but you need to learn how to build your teams at the beginning of the game, so that when the harder content comes down, you're not stuck looking stupid trying to figure out what's going on. If you invested all of your stuff in DPS characters and you don't have a strong foundation characters, you're going to be caught off guard, and you're going to be basically losing content, and you're going to get frustrated. You don't want to do that. If you're going to re-roll, and if you're going to re-roll your characters, and you really think that you must re-roll characters, get one of those 4 characters. If you can get any of those characters, get one of those 4 characters, and then get the unit select ticket. And when you get the unit select ticket, use it for another one of those characters. So if you really want to get Gloria and you want to go with, because you know she's going to be coming out in that debut banner, go ahead and get Gloria. Gloria is a fantastic unit. But then get the unit select character and get Inanna. Inanna. I'm never gonna pronounce. I'm gonna ruin names. If you're gonna watch my channel, I'm gonna ruin names. I'm so sorry. But then do that. If you're gonna go with Dantalion, you need to get Inanna, because she's just gonna work so well with that. If you care about min-maxing, or if you care about being efficient, or if you care about just having a nice, not easy, but a nice, if you care about building up your foundation at the beginning of the game, those are the characters that you're going to want to get. Hopefully this guide has been helpful to you guys. Hopefully you guys have learned a lot. And if you have, please put comments down below. Tell me what you think. If you have questions, let me know. If you want to input your own, thoughts about this, again, please let me know. I respond, or I react to a lot of my comments, so majority of all of my comments that I have. And again, like I said, I'm on a road to 1,000. I want to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. If you guys enjoy the work, if you enjoy the content, please check me out, hit that subscribe button, like, and just interact with the community. I try to post things at least once a day, not videos, but I also do other things as well. You know, I play other games. I do my community posts. I do something, I might even put up like shorts once in a while, but I try to do something, or I respond to comments. I try to do something on my YouTube every day, just so I can help build this community and build a strong community for Sword of Convallaria. And also, again, please make sure you check out this guy. Check out this guy's page, Loot and Waifus. It's a fantastic website. He did such a good job with the Sword of Convallaria stuff, and he works hard. And like I said, I like his content. So also check out this content creator too. Check out his content. He does some really good work. And yeah, we're done. So you guys take care of yourselves. I'll catch you in the next one. And yeah, I'll see you in a couple of days. Peace.